Two guys walking into the same bank. Imagine it. The first has $10,000. The second has 10 million. Both want to borrow money. Both want investment advice. Both want somewhere to keep their assets. Technically, they're customers of the same institution, but the bank may not see them as the same kind of customer at all. One is asking for a financial product. The other may be bringing the bank an entire financial relationship. And somewhere between those two people, the rules begin to change. Not because there is one magic number where the bank suddenly rolls out a red carpet. There isn't. The thresholds vary by institution, country, investable assets, and the complexity of the client's finances. But the research points to a broad pattern. As wealth rises, banking moves from standardized products to relationship management to specialist teams, and eventually toward an integrated financial infrastructure built around the client's assets. So what actually changes? What happens? At $100,000, what about 1 million, 5 million, 10 million? And at what point does a bank stop thinking about you as someone buying its products and start thinking about you as a relationship worth building an entire system around? Let's start at the bottom. $0, the default customer. For most people, banking is simple. You have a checking account, a debit card, maybe a savings account. You apply for a mortgage or a credit card, and most of the system is standardized. The bank is designed to serve huge numbers of people through repeatable, scalable processes. That doesn't mean the bank is treating you badly. It just means the economics of the relationship don't usually justify building a specialized team around your financial life. You're not asking the bank to design a financial architecture. You're choosing from the architecture it already built. And that's the first important distinction in this entire story. At lower levels of wealth, the bank is mostly selling you products. The institution is built for scale, and scale rewards standardization. But what happens when the relationship becomes more valuable? At around $100,000, you hit the mass affluent or priority banking level. You might get a named contact, a dedicated phone line, some fee waivers or preferential pricing, limited access to an advisor. But here's the catch: having a person assigned to you doesn't necessarily mean you have a private financial team. That person may still manage hundreds of relationships. You're no longer completely anonymous, but you're not yet the center of the machine. Reaching $1 million sounds like the obvious threshold, becoming a millionaire. Surely this is where the private banking world opens. Not necessarily. At this level, you gain private banking relationships, structured products, and gained portfolio-backed lending. But the depth of that relationship can still be limited. The research dossier describes many $1 to $3 million relationships as something closer to private banking light. A dedicated banker may exist, while product access and autonomy remain relatively constrained. Becoming a millionaire doesn't automatically place you inside a completely different financial system. The word private can sound much more exclusive than the underlying economics really are. A relationship manager handling 150 clients is still managing a scalable service model. The bigger shift tends to come later. Around the several million-dollar level, or roughly $5 million, the relationship can start to look fundamentally different. The important change isn't a better office, it's the people behind the office. Instead of one relationship manager trying to handle everything, the client may have access to specialists, an investment strategist, a lending specialist, estate planning expertise, broader investment opportunities, more customized mortgage structures. Now the bank is beginning to coordinate different areas of finance around one relationship. That's a structural change. Your financial pieces start connecting. Borrowing affects liquidity, and your estate affects the way assets are owned. And once your assets become large enough, the question changes from, what financial product do you need, to, what can we build around what you already own? This is where the story really changes. The research identifies roughly the $5 to $10 million range as the point where the structural differences become much more pronounced. The assets themselves can become leverage. A normal borrower typically asks, how much income do I have, and what is my credit history? But a wealthy client may have another option, a portfolio-backed credit line that allows them to access liquidity without necessarily selling their underlying investments. The bank is no longer simply managing an account. It's looking at the entire balance sheet. But why? This raises the obvious question. Why would a bank give someone with more money better pricing, more specialists, and more flexibility? Is it generosity? Is it because the wealthy deserve better treatment? No, the useful explanation is economics. A large client can generate revenue across multiple parts of the institution: investment management fees, lending revenue, foreign exchange, structured products, advisory. A single wealthy relationship can be worth far more than one fee on one account. A lower mortgage rate given to a wealthy client can be part of a much larger economic relationship. The bank isn't losing money by giving away one advantage. It may be buying a much more valuable relationship. And that leads to one of the most important ideas in this documentary. The unit of value isn't always the individual product, it's the customer relationship. Now take that idea to the next level. At $25 million and beyond, the problem isn't finding another investment. The problem is complexity, different entities, cross-border assets, successions, trusts, philanthropy. This is where the phrase better banking almost stops making sense. At roughly the $25 million range, the research identifies a shift toward ultra-high net worth services, multi-family office capabilities, and advanced estate structures. The bank may not simply be giving the client more products. It may be helping coordinate an entire financial ecosystem. At zero, a product; at 100,000, a contact; at 1 million, an advisor; at 5 million, a specialist team; at 10 million, an integrated credit and investment relationship; at 25 million, potentially an infrastructure built around the family and its wealth. And yet, there is one final twist: the rejection paradox. We've spent this entire video watching wealth open doors, but wealth doesn't open every door. Something strange happens at the top. The deeper the relationship, the deeper the bank's questions become. Where did the money come from? Who actually owns it? How was it transferred? Are the structures transparent? These aren't optional questions. The DOJ and UK HMRC guidance explicitly recognizes that institutions may decline or exit a relationship when the source of wealth cannot be reasonably established. At very high levels, your wealth can create a different kind of scrutiny. The bank controls the door. So go back to the two people from the beginning. They both walk into the bank. They may both see the same logo, the same building, even the same account screen. But behind the scenes, their relationships are operating according to very different economics. The ordinary customer typically enters a standardized system built for scale. As wealth increases, the relationship becomes personalized, specialized, and integrated, potentially connecting investments, lending, trusts, taxes, insurance, businesses, and generations. And that's the real dividing line. The deeper story is simpler. At lower wealth levels, you are mostly buying financial products from a bank. At higher wealth levels, the bank may start organizing a financial relationship around the assets you bring to it.